The only way to kill the giants was to drown them. The flood was not only sent to destroy corrupt mankind, but also to exterminate the giants that inhabited the earth at that time. Genesis 6:4 mentions there were giants on the earth in those days when the sons of God were joined to the daughters of men and begot children to them. These giants, known as the Nephilim, were the result of a forbidden mixture between fallen angels and humans. They were powerful and violent beings whose existence symbolized the extreme corruption that had spread throughout the world. The flood lasted 40 days and 40 nights because it was to wipe out not only sinful humans, but also these giant creatures whose strength and endurance required prolonged divine action. God's judgment was not immediate, since it was not only to destroy physically, but also to deeply purify the earth of all wickedness, including that of these powerful beings. Thus, the flood was the only way to completely eliminate that corruption. What do you think really happened to the Nephilim after the flood?
Ancient Egypt and the Bible. Did these half-human, half-animal gods actually exist? And did they have any involvement with what was going on during biblical times? To answer this, we're going to start in Genesis 6. Now, Genesis 6 talks briefly about the fallen angels and how they slept with the women on earth who eventually gave birth to giants. These giants were half-human, half-demonic hybrids. They were absolute savages. They ravaged the earth. They had no self-control. They ate humans. They tortured them. They were deplorable beings. So what do these mythological gods have to do with the Bible? Where do we see these half-human, half-animal hybrids? For that, we turn to my favorite, the book of Enoch. So it says right here, and when men could no longer sustain them, they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and to drink the blood. We also see proof of this in the book of Jasher. This is from the Apocrypha, and it says, and those animals from their middle downward were in the shape of the children of men, and from their middle upward, some had the likeness of bears, and some had the likeness of kephas. So you'll see from the bottom down they were human, and from the top up they were animal. Now again, just another reason why the enemy doesn't want us reading the Apocrypha, because it actually explains our history. So these demonic spirit giants got bored with men and started to breed with animals, which gave birth to these half-human, half-animal demonic hybrids. Now, the Bible is very clear that the fallen angels gave man knowledge that we were not supposed to have. It was from the enemy. So because these beings were from that lineage of the fallen angels, they also had that knowledge. It was knowledge about astrology, about witchcraft, combined with their size, combined with the fact that they're literally half human, half animal. The people of the time around them, they started to worship them as gods. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This is from the Apocrypha as well. So it says, the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls in the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other. They were just literally mixing them together in order to provoke the Lord. Why would Satan, why would the enemy want to provoke the Lord? What was the intention here? For this, we go back to the book of Genesis. This is in chapter 3. This is after Satan had tempted Eve, and this is the Lord speaking. And he says, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers, and he will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. This is the root of everything. This verse right here is why Satan tried to corrupt our DNA. He tried to mess with God's creation. God literally told him, he goes, look, Satan, there's going to come somebody from the lineage of Eve. There's going to come a descendant of Eve that will take you out. So Satan goes, okay, well, that means I need to take out God's creation. I need to mess with the DNA so that doesn't happen. He was trying to ensure that Jesus was never born. And we see these beings all over history. All over history, there's records of half human, half animal hybrids. You have to do some serious digging, but you can find some crazy stuff. Now, what's fascinating is the Sphinx was actually erected just prior to the flood. So this was another one of them. It was I'm gonna guess maybe a lion, half animal, half human, demonic god that they worshipped. We were not taught the story of creation. We were taught the enemy's lies. So when you actually delve into the Bible to find the truth, when you read the Apocrypha, all of this stuff starts to make sense. You know, science can't explain how the pyramids were built, but if you were taught the story of creation, it makes sense. These were not just mythological beings that ancient civilizations just imagined. They were living, breathing demons that walked the earth. And when you are taught the story of creation, you understand why they're here, and it always leads you back.
Aliens are in the ocean. And different Congress and U.S. government officials just came out with a whole hearing and just told us everything we needed to know about these UFO sightings. Now, instead of UFOs, they mainly call them UAPs, which is any object that's in the air or sea that can't be immediately unidentified or explained, because they try to avoid the alien stigma of the term UFO. But they literally just had this huge meeting Wednesday, and all 4 of these men that were the witnesses were like retired people in the Navy and different branches high up in the military and government. And each one of these men talked about different situations with the UFOs underwater. And one of the men talked about how there was an unidentified underwater craft following a U.S. submarine. And he said nothing that they knew of technology-wise could replicate that. And the speed of the object was faster than anything they could think of. He kept saying it was like an underwater torpedo. And this man, I believe his name is Elizondo, he went more in depth about the stuff that's going on more than anybody. Because in this whole hearing, they're telling us this stuff, but they are very cautious at what they say. And he said that there is excessive secrecy. And he said it has been used to hide the fact that we are not alone and we haven't been alone for a long time. And in this hearing, the people would ask them questions like, do you believe that the government is aware of this stuff? And they all was like, yes. They've been knew what was going on for a minute now. They asked them, do they believe that some people can communicate with them? And they said yes. This whole hearing is actually very crazy because like these are like high up men and branches of the military and like the government. Serious men that I highly doubt would be coming up with some alien stories. And men that actually has families and lives to go back to. And this can be a dangerous topic. And like I said, one slip up could have messed up everything. So they had to be very cautious at what they told us. So that just makes me think like everything that I talk about in the ocean, I just know it's real. That's why I just believe everything in the Bermuda Triangle is a portal. I believe that they're mermaids. What if aliens were mermaids? Like, what if they're in cahoots with each other? Like, people believe that these underwater kingdom creatures are demonic. So we've been in cahoots and we having these demons that's living in our oceans that we swim in. It's a lot, y'all. It is a lot. And they just keep telling us like they had a literal meeting last year about the same topic. Not too many people talked about it. Like they're literally telling us this stuff and people still don't believe. I know some people are like, oh, I have to see it to believe it. Did you see dinosaurs and you believe it? No, you only believe it because they taught us that in school, but you did not see that. The same way they have fossils and stuff, that's how we know that they're true. These people are literally telling us there's actual unknown spacecrafts in our oceans that they have seen, and there's some parts of it hidden. Is that not enough for y'all to believe, y'all? But my thing is, why are they now telling us this stuff? What is happening? What are they preparing us for? Because at the end of the day, they told us. They can't say they did not tell us. It's the law of nature or something. They gotta tell us. They gotta tell us. But let me know what y'all think about.
Aliens actually come from the ocean because this is actually at the bottom of this. Pause. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. Before we get into it, guys, I literally got banned the other day and I was so scared I lost my account. Thankfully, they gave it back, but I went ahead and made a backup account where I'm going to make new and improved videos over there as well, so make sure you follow. Have you ever wondered why this looks just like this? Coincidence? I think not. And if you think I'm nuts, Congress just admitted this on live television. Not only did they confirm this, they said they have video proof. But of course, that's classified. A retired Navy commander spoke about how him and his team were in a submarine under the ocean and they saw something near them in the dark ocean that had the speed of a Russian torpedo. It slowed down near the submarine and then rapidly moved out of sight. They literally have admitted to the fact that they have found multiple crafts under the water, and countries are literally coming together to try to reverse engineer the technology that they found. They even said that the technology goes well beyond our understanding and shows that these beings have clearly been around much longer than us. Who knows what they're using it for? Sounds a little bit like Antarctica, does it not? To be more specific, sounds a little bit like all of the countries coming together to sign the Antarctica Treaty to prohibit self-exploration of some parts of Antarctica. Sounds like there's some things that they don't want us to know. Crazy part is though, we already knew this. Because if you've been watching my channel, we've spoken about how aliens are literally just demons. Literally. And there's a whole demonic marine kingdom that's inhabiting the oceans of the earth. We've also spoken about how demons are actually the disembodied spirits of the giants before Noah's flood, aka the Nephilim. I believe this simply because the Bible consistently separates the sea leave from the land. It has on multiple accounts spoken about other beings living in the ocean. Like, for example, Revelations 20:13. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and each person was judged according to what they had done. Why would the Bible specify the unalived in the ocean and the unalived on earth and in Hades? That leads me to believe that there's a whole other kind of thing going on in the deep. I mean, hey, y'all know they put it in plain sight. Black Panther 2 told us everything that we needed to know. Look up the siren scene on Black Panther 2. Once your spiritual eyes are opened, you're going to have the discernment to pinpoint everything that they're trying to tell you in plain sight. Long story short, they thought they ate telling us the aliens were in the ocean. Child, we already knew that. As always, make sure you guys like.
The government has come out and stated that UFOs come from underwater, and many people have been talking about it. But did you know that this was also talked about in the Book of Enoch? According to the Book of Enoch, when a group of human women laid with a group of angels known as Watchers, they reproduced, thus creating giants, aka Nephilim. And as a consequence, God punished the Watcher angels by chaining them beneath mountains until Judgment Day, and punished a group of women by cursing them with a demonic form, turning them into sirens, or what some people consider mermaids. It's speculated that from this point, the sirens took the advanced knowledge they learned from the Watcher angels, went deep into the ocean, and built what we know as the Marine Kingdom. Swiftly, if you don't know, the Marine Kingdom is a term used to describe a place deep within the ocean that not only has sentient, potentially humanoid-like beings, but full-on advanced civilizations and communities, which some people theorize are far more advanced than what we have here on the surface. And with the government admitting that UFOs and UAPs come from deep within the ocean, maybe that theory isn't as far-fetched as it sounds.
So while everyone is distracted with these UFOs and UAPs and drones, has anyone looked at Rome and how the Vatican is set to open these 5 holy doors, and the first one will be right after Christmas? Yeah, so these holy doors are said to be open every Jubilee. And it's weird because the Jubilee, the Book of Jubilees, is actually in the Apocryphal, which they don't even recognize as real bibliography. So how are they following a Jubilee year? There are 5 of these doors that are set to be opened, and I don't know. I don't think we should open them just for the state of what's going on right now. You know, like in ancient Egypt when they make that discovery and they open it like mummy style and something's released, something tells me these 5 doors are not coincidentally supposed to be open right now on this year, which just so happens to be a Jubilee. Yeah, so the first door that's going to be opened is actually a prison on December 26th, and there will be one that will be opened on the 24th. And then Christmas Eve, and the last one will be open January 6th during the Feast of the Epiphany. 2025 apparently is a Jubilee year. That doesn't sound good. A lot of stuff happens on Jubilee years, and doesn't sound like Jamboree, anything Baree. I don't want it right now. So yeah, I would focus less on the drones and more on how basically they about to let the dragons out. I'm gonna dig more into this and let y'all know, but it's not sitting well with me.